This brief video is going to cover the basics of Google Sheets. It's just an introduction to let you get used to the terminology, again, that you might have heard 15, 20, 25 years ago when you did Microsoft Excel. So let's create a sheet and put information into it. So first of all, I have my Google Drive, which is color-coded and numbered for priority so that I can find my Google content. And I have documents. I have a folder named Documents on here. Now I'm going to make a folder called Sheets. I can right-click. Remember, when in doubt, right-click, and 4 out of 5 times you'll get the right answer. If I would have done plus and I would have done Google Sheets here, it would have been the same thing as if I would have right-clicked here and done Sheets here. So I'm getting a blank sheet. And remember, a lot of things are very similar to what you've known from other spreadsheet programs, in that you have cells and you have columns. Running straight up and down are the columns. Running across are the rows. I used to tell my middle school students that the game Battleship, which was popular way back when, but every time you did a cross-reference like B3, that would be where your little ship would be. That analogy may be poor now for some, but for the people that I used to teach, they would cross-reference it to a gaming little thing that we used to do, and it was very popular, called Battleship. And so A2 would be where you would enter data. Notice, though, that this is the little roadblock that some people still have, is when you try to save this. If you go to File, Save As, there is no File, Save As. There isn't. You can rename it right here. Or I could have clicked right in here to name this my example. I could have, right? And it will let you name it, but there's no File Save As. So that's one thing that most people have gotten used to now, but it auto-saves, though, from this point on. All changes saved in this drive. From here on, every time I enter something, it auto-saves it, which is a nice feature for Google Sheets. So if we're going to put a heading up here, and you want some columns with headings. Let's say this was a grade book and I had 10 students here, or 5, because I don't have a lot of time to make a long video. So let's say this was my grade book for first period, right? So this is grade book for Dr. Weldon's computer lab. When I hit enter, now where is that? It's only in A1. Notice that it's on top of B and C. In other words, the words are viewable, but it's overlapping on B and C. There is nothing in B and C. There's nothing in here. It's all in A1. Okay? So remember that. And then if I would have expanded this out, if I would expand it out, it would let you see that that all is in A1 now. So that's just one of the things. Now let's say that I wanted it centered, A1 all the way to D1. I wanted it centered. Well, first of all, you had to highlight the content and drag across. In other words, you hold down the left click and you're just dragging over the mouse. And right there, you see where it says Merge Cells. This will merge the cells. But look, it made it a hard left align. Do you see that? So we're going to change that to a center. And that's how you would do it. Let's do it again. Let's say that this is fall 2019. I click off. Now I want that merged and centered from A to D underneath here, right? So I'm going to click A1 all the way to D1, let go. Then I'm going to go over to that merge center, merge cells, and then center it. Now look, if it would have been to the right, it would have pushed it all the way over here, but I want to have it right in the center. Oh, wrong one, right there. Here we go. So then, this is what you would do. I like to skip one row. I always like to have a title, a subtitle, and then this is skip row, and row 4 is where we'll start putting the column headings. So it'd be student name, right? And this would be grade 1, grade 2. I'm going to stop there for a second. Now when I click off, notice that student name, grade 1, grade 2, right? Now let's say this was going to be grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. Now remember, spreadsheets are pretty smart. They try to predict what's coming. If I highlight grade 1, I click on it, and I go to the bottom right corner where there's like a hunter's crosshair. Now you know I'm from Alabama, but it's a hunter's crosshair. If I hold the left click down and drag it, it will try to predict what's going to go in the next cells in terms of labels. Look at there. It did it. So one more time. Now, if it wouldn't have got it, I could have clicked and drug over 2 of them, and then bottom right corner, I could have filled it. See that? So now I've got a place for 5 grades. Now, if I wanted all this centered, right, I could click on the All button. There's an A column, there's a row 1, but if I click right above here, that's all. That's select all. That's like going right click on it and select all. Okay, but instead I'm going to go select all here, and I'm going to merge and center. No, all I got to do is hit center. So I'm going to center this all. Okay, and look, it took all of my grades and it moved them over to the left and it centered. Okay, now you see how A1 to D1 is my centered here? You're going to go, well, I need to go all the way to F1. Can I do that? Yes, you could highlight A, D1, and look, I'm just dragging over from A1 to F1. Now, if I merge and center this, it automatically fixed it because it was already centered. Let's do it again on A2 through D2. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to drag it over to F2. So now, A2 through F2 are highlighted, and if I merge and center, it centered it again. So now my block heading at the top here is ready. Ready for what? I want to change the color so that my data that I enter here is going to be one color, right? And then this top half will look another way where I can see it better. See how it's like a light blue right now and the words are black? That looks good. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave it like that. So when I click off, this background and all the way from A1 to F4 is going to be light blue. So how would I do that? You highlight the range of cells, you go to the little bucket, and you choose light blue. Now when I click off, there you go. Now that is pretty much what you have to do to make your first spreadsheet where you add data and you center your labels and your content to start with.